So, how I learned English on my own for free without actually studying it. I did not learn English in school. As you can probably tell, English is not my native language. I was not born with it. And I did not learn English in any language institute. I learned it by myself from home using free resources on the internet. Here is how I did it. But first, hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Asim. I'm a polyglot. On this channel, we help young people like you speak English fluently and confidently while enjoying the process. So let's get started. Today, first I'll share with you my background story of how I learned English. Next, I'll share with you why I decided to learn English, and then I'll share with you some methods and techniques I used to learn English on my own. Let's start with my background story. I studied in an English medium school. What that means is from elementary till high school, most of the subjects like sciences were in English. Also, we had a separate class called English, but it was mostly academic English. So we didn't learn spoken English. I didn't know how to speak even a word in English. The only benefit I guess I got from those classes was that I learned few English words here and there. I learned to say hi, how are you? I learned some basic words and phrases. My English level was probably still A1. I could understand like simple basic phrases, but I couldn't speak at all. In the second year of high school, I became interested in learning English. I started to care about it. And the reason why I did that was because of two stories that I want to share with you. First, when we were in high school, one day our main English teacher was absent. So we had a substitute English teacher. When that teacher came to our class, he started to have conversations with us in English. He told us, "Today we're going to improve your spoken English." And I was so intimidating when he said that because I knew that I couldn't speak a word in English at all. So like one by one, he would choose like two students. He would invite them to come to the front of the class and he would have them have conversations with each other. So the teacher would give them a topic and they would talk about it for like 5 minutes or 6 minutes. Most of my classmates had conversations in English that way. When my turn came, our teacher picked me and one of my friends and he was like, "You two should talk about sports." And I was like, oh my god, how am I gonna talk about sports in English if I don't even know how to introduce myself in English? So I stood there with my friend in front of the class. I said, "Hi, how are you?" He said, "I'm fine. How are you?" I was like, "I'm great. What about you?" The conversation was not going anywhere. We were not talking about sports at all because I couldn't. I just couldn't. I asked him, I remember, "What's your favorite game or sport?" He was like, "It's cricket." And then he asked me mine, and then I stood there saying nothing. I just stood there silent because I didn't know what to say. And that experience really motivated me to learn English because after that, of course, I was embarrassed in front of my classmates for a while. I became like a little nervous. But after that experience, when I got home, I was like, I missed something important in my life, and that's English language. I need to know it. And the second story why I decided to learn English was that I went to this art exhibition. So, for some of you who don't know, I'm an artist. I do calligraphy. I do Arabic calligraphy to be specific. I'll put some pictures, you can see how it's done. So I went to this art exhibition. It was an international exhibition, meaning people from different countries came and they were, looking at people's arts. So I was sitting there with my teacher. I was writing names for people. I was writing autographs for people, doing this whole calligraphy art. A Turkish lady was in that art exhibition. She came to me and she was like, "Can you write names for my family?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll do it, no problem." She wrote the names for me in English. I wrote it for her in Arabic. And after I was done, I gave the names to the Turkish lady and she was speaking English. Of course, I don't know any Turkish. So she was talking to me in English. She was thanking me. She was like, "Thank you, I really appreciate you." And I just stood there saying nothing like a weirdo. Why? Because I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know how to speak a word in English. But then my teacher helped me. He was like, "You should say something like thank you to express your gratitude or something." And I did that. And that experience also motivated me to learn English because that day I felt like a deaf person. I felt like I couldn't communicate with her. And the reason was that I didn't know a very important global language, which is English. After those two experiences, I was like, okay, I have to learn English. This English thing is super important. But I didn't really know how to do it. I thought I would buy some grammar books and then after reading them, I would magically learn English. But that's not how it works, is it? I started looking for answers. I started watching YouTube videos to kind of know how can I learn English, how can I learn a language, because before that I didn't learn any language on my own. Watching videos like this one gave me a lot of perspective. They taught me how I can learn English, how I can learn a language. And once you know how to do it, then doing it is pretty much easy. And there's one reason why I make these videos. I make them because I know that there is someone who is exactly like my younger self, who needs help, who needs to learn English, who is confused, who doesn't know how to do it. And I'm here to teach them how. Maybe you're one of them. So I started consuming YouTube videos a lot. I was looking for answers. I was just watching YouTube videos in English, of course with subtitles because I couldn't understand. My English level at that point was probably A2, upper beginner, because I could understand maybe 40 to 50% with the subtitles, but of course I still couldn't speak. After doing loads and loads of listening on YouTube, I realized that if I wanted to improve my speaking, if I wanted to improve my spoken English, I had to practice speaking. Only listening was not enough. Only listening and watching YouTube videos like this one is not enough. You need to practice your speaking, and that's what I learned. In those days, it was lockdown, like the second wave of the coronavirus. Our school was shut. We didn't have any online classes because the lockdown was supposed to be 1 or 2 months. I was feeling very lonely at home, so like I didn't really go out and meet a lot of my friends because most of my friends were in school and they lived far away from our home. Around those times, I started using Facebook frequently because I thought I would connect with people from different countries online and I would communicate my ideas with them and feel good about myself. I knew that if those people were from a different country, they wouldn't speak my language, I wouldn't speak theirs, so we would have to communicate with each other in English, and I thought it was a great way for me to practice my speaking. I met three really nice people who later became my friends. They were not native speakers of English, but their English was pretty decent, so I practiced with them. Then eventually I started meeting more and more people through different social media groups, and that's how I practiced my speaking till I became fluent. Even now, it's been 4 years since I started learning English. I still practice my English to this day because I believe that learning English is a lifelong journey. If I don't practice, I'll stay the same, but I want to improve and get better. So that's why I practice at least 2 times a week. Hopefully through my story, I've inspired you enough to keep learning and working on your English. If you want to become fluent in English but you don't really know which steps to follow, then you can watch this video in which I shared a 4-step method that you can follow to speak English fluently and confidently fast. Okay, I hope this lesson was helpful. See you in the next one. Bye bye.